It's always fun to try new stitches. This one with puffy loop squares is an interesting one. I learned this here stitch not long ago, and then I have continued developing it and seeing what else you can do using it, and it's very interesting. It's a very puffy stitch, so it of course is a yarn eater, but it's fun to see it grow, and you could use it for many things. Apart from any kind of bands or like a headband, whatever, you can make different shapes of them, different lengths of them, and join them. You could make a very large surface of different colors using this. The original one grows with 2 sets of these stitches at one go. Then this here one has 3, and here I have used 4. I've been trying to work if I could make a shape of a Christmas tree like this here, but so far I haven't managed so that it looks the same and that you would have a flat bottom to it, because it starts growing like this here, even though when you make a larger one. I have also used a different amount of stitches. These two have 5 loops and these have just 4, which means that they don't need quite as much yarn, and depending on your yarn it doesn't look much different. But let's see how we do it. First of all, you need straight hooks. It cannot have a handle because the loops go quite far on your hook. And if you are making sort of very large ones, then the best would be using these here Tunisian hooks that are very long and completely straight. I have these in quite a number of sizes. It's easiest to use the sort of yarn that doesn't fray much so that the plies don't separate, because you need to pass the yarn through so many loops. And then take a hook the size that goes with your yarn. Mine is 4mm and this here yarn is worsted weight. But really obviously this works with any yarn as long as your hook goes with it. So we start with a simple magic ring. Go around your finger once and create a stitch and chain. And then we chain 2. And now we start with these loops. Yarn over and the hook into the ring and pull up a loop that's the same height as your chain. And again yarn over, another loop, yarn over, and a third loop, yarn over, 4th, yarn over, and 5th. And at this stage you can tighten the magic ring a bit and then take a yarn and pull through all of them except the stitch you have from the chain. So through there and out there, and then take the yarn, and now it's important here that we leave a yarn loop here on top that we can crochet into, but that it's not too tight and it's not too loose, so that it's the length of these here stitches. Looks like that there. And then at the same time adjust the magic ring loop also to be the width of the bottom of those stitches. Then chain 3 and turn. And now we have in front of us that their chain that we made. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and like I mentioned there, you could stop at 4 always, but I'll do 5 for this sample anyway. So now we have these loops. So we have 11 loops always all together like that, because we have that one there first. And then we continue, so just straight on, another yarn over, and now we have this here loop that was left in the previous group of stitches, and you go in there and you do the same there, 5 loops, and try to keep them as long as the other ones. It's a bit hard. They easily shorten as you work on. Here. So now we have 10 here and 10 plus 1 here, so we have actually 21 loops. And what you need to do is we'll pull through, but in two groups. So we're pulling them separately, the loops that were in this loop and the ones that are in there. So take a yarn over and pull through the first 10. And then bring the yarn out. And then take a yarn, and again we need to leave a loop here that we're going to use later. So don't pull that too tight, but at the same time pull through all of the rest except the chain on your hook. And then again yarn over like that there. So now it's starting to grow. And then chain 3 again. Always chain 3 and always turn at this stage. And now we have the same in front of us. First there's a chain and then there's the loop. And we'll do the same. 5 loops into each of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the first one. And then yarn over and start in another one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And the same. Take the yarn and pull through the first group of them, and when you come out there, yarn over and through the stitch plus all those other ones except your chain. And there again. So this is what you continue. It just repeats the same. I'll do one more, and then on this here sample I'll show what you do to make it wider. So chain 3, I'll do it faster now, and 5 loops there and 5 there. And pull through the first group and through the second group, like that there. So to keep it this size, you always go, when you turn, you go into 2 loops, that one and that one. But to grow, you go into more than 2. So I'll show that. 1, 2, 3 chains and turn. And now instead of continuing what I was doing, I will also use this here loop. So that means lots of loops on the, because each one has 10. So I'll have 30 and plus this one. So I'll do the first one. There. The next one. There's 5, and then I'll go to the next. It's getting a bit harder with it getting such a long, and these here are a bit unnecessarily tight. I pull them out a bit. And then yarn through the first group of loops. There. Then a yarn over and the yarn through the next group set and the last one, and then finish that one off again. So now we can see that it's starting to grow wider there. And then if I was to continue like this, to want to have it wider, I chain 3, and again here, if I wanted to continue making it wide, then loops here, there and there. So this here one has been done like that. This would already be wide enough, for instance, for a headband, or one more. So after you turn, with this one you always do for the 3, but if you want it even wider, then there's the 4th one, after you have done 1 row. So you could do it much wider. But then of course now with this yarn already, it's getting very hard to work. So if I was to make it wider, I would definitely change into a much longer hook. This here one has been done that way, that there's 4 here instead of the 3, but the yarn is finer so it didn't get so big. So this is the technique. Try it, try the different versions, and then think of what you can use it for. Until next time,